Yes, top of the moment to you. Anywhere where they watch us from. Few minutes ago, we've been talking. Engineer Debo go dey gidigba gbangba. We go dey talk about property matter. And as we speak now, he dey with me here for Ile Agodo and Ile Agodo in the studio.
Okay, that's the
Ile Agodo studio.
Okay.
He dey with me for Ile Agbara or Ile Agodo.
Agbara Agodo.
Yes.
I don't understand why Agbara will be studio. I understand that
Agbara means where you supply things, where power is.
So how is studio now power station?
Because it's where all the gadget, everything, where they take supply.
Where they take supply? Okay, I get you.
So most definitely going to take us through assertiveness. Now we stop, Abi. We stopped at.
No, we are dealing with the attractiveness of real estate investments.
Yes. So what are those things? We be say if person want go into real estate, you go ginger am, you go law am compared with all other investments.
Well, thank you very much, Chief. Good morning once again. And I like this your this your new Baba just the renew energy anyhow. Good morning, our viewers, and thank you for following us all through. So we've still on the attractiveness of real estate investment. And while we're discussing this is majorly to let people understand the difference between real estate investment and other investments. And particularly to help them in this time and age where real estate investment seems to be one of the hopes, let me say, that people have. Why? Because other forms of investment have come to almost appear or seem like they are not as rewarding, as real estate should be. We have talked about all of that in the last episode. So please, if you missed any of our editions, I want to encourage you to go to the YouTube channel and ensure that you watch. Okay? Now, talking about what you should look out for, which is what we really want to do today. What should you look out for when you are investing in real estate to ensure that your money is secure, to ensure that your money is safe, to ensure that you can have your returns? Number one thing, okay? Number one thing, or don't let me say number one thing. Let me say there are four major things, okay? So one of which is that any real estate that you are getting into, any investment you are getting into, you need to find out the regulation, okay? There are different regulatory structures. No, let me put that way, structures. Now, there is self-regulatory. There are investments that are self-regulatory. A lot of those investments are private investments when they are self-regulatory. Now, an investment in real estate can be public or private, just like in any other investment, okay? Now, a lot of the investments that are self-regulatory or self-regulated investments are private investment. The meaning of private and public is this is the difference. You see, when an investment is requiring more than like about 20 people or at most 50 people, it is starting to become public investment. When you have to gather like about 50 people to do a particular investment, it is all starting to become a public investment. Such investments are regulated. There is a body called SEC. Okay?
Security Exchange Commission.
Security Exchange Commission. Okay, Nigerian Security Exchange Commission. That body regulates investments, public investment particularly.
Though we hear more of them on stocks.
But it's not just stocks. Yes, it's all form of investments that they, both equity and capital and debt investment that they regulate. Okay? So when you are doing investment like that, they are structured mostly, you talk about regulation. Okay, maybe before I go deep into that, let me say that any investment you are doing would exist in either of these four forms. Two of them will have a combination. So one side is that it will either be public or private, like I've mentioned. It will also be either equity or debt. So you can have an investment that is public and equity, or that is public and debt. Or you have that is private and equity or private and debt. You understand? So those are the forms by which you have investment. Public or private, then equity or debt. Okay? Now, debt, or what you call debt. BC. That's what I mean, so that people can understand. Now, that settled, investment, be concerned about how is this investment regulated. An investment that is private, like I said, is usually self-regulated. Most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time self-regulated. Now, that is the least form of regulation you can have, because what that investment is, the way that investment is structured is that everything, your fate is in the hands of the people you've put the money, because they are answerable to probably only you based on some terms and conditions that they've presented to you. So in those kind of investment, you are going to be better off knowing and clearly going through the terms and conditions, because if yawa should gas, now those terms and conditions you can rely on. You understand? So that's one, self-regulated. Then there are those that have statutory bodies that regulate them.
That has to do with law.
Statutory regulations, okay? There is how they should do one thing or the other. There are protocols they should follow. Yeah. They have statutory body regulating them. Largely in this case, SEC. Okay, SEC regulating them. They are usually public investments.
Backed up by an act of parliament.
They are usually public investment, meaning that they have more than about 50 people inside them. More than 20 or 50 people inside them. There are different structures. Okay, so those kind of investments are more, in a way, more reassuring. You know why? Because for them to pass through regulation of SEC, they must have been forced to set up a structure.
Okay.
And periodically, there is what they are expected to submit. Periodically, there is when SEC people are expected to check their books and things like that. So you have another agency, let's put it that way, helping you to check that the people you gave money to, they are doing what they promised. Those terms and conditions still exist, but that the people, they are doing what they promised. So those are the two. Now, people that do self-regulation, some people hold themselves to a higher standard. So even though they are not self-regulated, they almost structure their investments almost like they are self-regulated, in the sense that they try to ensure that they decentralized control.
Okay.
For example, if you are investing in real estate, let's say somebody is calling you together to buy a property. Don't forget that there is always title of that property.
Sure.
Who is it with? If it is a self-regulated transaction, but the title is still in the hand of the person that you've all contributed money to own the property with, don't you think that your transaction is at risk? Because he can still take that title and go and use it for any other thing, maybe borrow money on it and all. And meanwhile, it is now your property, not his property anymore. So people that self-regulate themselves and they want to hold themselves to a higher standard, in that essence, they can appoint what they call a custodian. Somebody that they will give that title to, that will hold the title in trust for everybody that has one thing or the other, one share or the other in the investment.
Is it not advisable a custodian is not a party to the business?
No, of course, that is the whole essence. A custodian is a third party that is holding the document or title in trust for the investors.
But
of course,
not in the invest.
No, he's not an investor. He's not usually an investor. And even if he's an investor, the more reason. Now, okay, so this is it. You see, a custodian has obligation to fulfill, because you would have committed him to an agreement. He must have signed an agreement, a custodian agreement, for example, that he has promised Chief Olododo, who is the investor, okay, that I'm going to hold this thing in trust according to this agreement. Okay. So Chief Olododo signed that agreement, the custodian signed that agreement. Me, the person that sold the property, maybe the developer, also signed that agreement. So that custodian, even if he's part of the people that are investing, still
bounded by
hold that duty to them to ensure that that property is Okay, so regulation. Okay. How is it regulated is very important. I see a lot of investment out there that are not regulated. They are not regulated at all. They are just self-regulated. And in fact, some of them are even not within the ambient of the law. How do I mean? They are not regulated. So, for example, like I said, SEC is a body. Cooperative also. You know, there is an entity that regulates cooperative. Sure. States regulate cooperative. So, cooperative is also a regulated body. So, I see a lot of investment out there that you are just giving money to one company. And a lot of you are doing that. It's like almost a public investment, but they are not registered, they are not regulated in any way. It is a huge risk. They are promising fantastic returns. Some returns are even unbelievably high. You can be sure that there will be a problem. You understand? You can be sure that there will be a problem. There is a challenge. Okay? And people are rushing in and giving them their money. You know, until another Wonder Bank episode starts. No, that is it. It's already in the making.
Well, thank you very much. You don't hear them for yourself. Engineer Debo, don't make us realize, say, most of these things on a monumental risk. Now, with the take, we're going to discuss everything we get to do with the attractiveness of real estate, the regulation. In the tell us, say, regulation, say, they're very necessary. It take us through the public and the private. It even enlighten us on equity plus debt, both for public equity and debt again for private. So, engineer, sir.
Yeah. So, as we're saying, that's regulation.
So a lot of juicy things are there to really...
Yeah, of course. You know, you're trying to get your money, so they'll promise you anything. So, find out how is this regulated? Or how should it be regulated?
That's the first thing I should ask them.
Yes, how should it be regulated? I mean, you should even find out on your own before asking them. What I mean by that is, if it is that they are asking people for money, a lot of people, then you should know that it should ordinarily be regulated by a statutory body. So you ask the question, who is regulating this?
How do I do my verification, sir, without going to them? How do I...
No. You can just ask them a question. No, you can just ask them a question. Who is regulating this money you are collecting? Okay. If they now say, SEC, or they are registered with SEC, or they are a cooperative, or something like that, whatever they give you, if it is, you then go and find out whether they are actually registered, properly registered, and running effectively the structure they should run. Okay. Because a lot of people also hide under the guise of cooperative to do a lot of havoc. Because they are registered as cooperative, but they are not functioning properly as cooperative. I mean, a lot of that, there was a time in Abuja, 2010 and so, it was so rampant that the Abuja Cooperative Ministry or something had to clamp down on those things because people just registered. You know, there are some criteria to register as cooperative. You need at that time maybe like 10 people or so coming together and all. You have your
everybody does.
You have your constitution and all. So they will just gather some people. Okay, just get them, use them to register, get certificates, and then they go to the public to say we're a cooperative. Come and join us. Bring money. So they were just using cooperative as it were, almost like a bank. Almost like a microfinance bank, or almost like, that's what they were doing. The people that they were asking to come join them as members, they were not really asking them to join as members like that. They were just using it. So there are those that also still abuse some of this regulated stuff. But you want to just find out first. That's the number one.
Because at least I'm aware that there is security number. There's a security number usually given by SEC, which if I come to your company or your investment, you should be able to give me that number.
No, there will be a registration certificate, of course, that I can go and verify. If you register your fund, it will be clear. And when a fund is registered, there is how it is operated. You understand? So that's that. You need to find out what regulation, okay? That done, you then need to be concerned about another thing, security.
Number 2.
Yes. We've talked about regulation. The second one is
what's now the difference between security and regulation?
Now, security is that you want to, in a way, they are related. You want to be sure, what I say about security is that you want to be sure that your money will return. In investment palace, a lot of people talk about return on investments. Say ROI, my return on investment. You say my return on investment. What about return of investment? Or they say return on capital. What about return of capital? Because it is when capital returns that there will be return of
interest.
Do you understand?
Yes.
It is when capital returns in the first place that there will be interest, there will be accumulation of, sure. So security talks about, hey, this thing I want to put my money into. How is my money protected? So that is why I said it's related to regulation. Now, beyond regulation, you want to also examine they call it fundamentals. The fundamentals of that investment that they are showing you, they are sharing with you. What are they going to put this money into? How much do people ordinarily make from putting money into this thing? Okay. Do you understand? Yeah. Do people make as much as they are promising to give me? Because, like I tell people, if somebody says that they are going to give you 50%, okay, on an investment, I've seen one funny one. It has to do with a Greek. They said they are going to give people 50% to plant corn for 6 months. I say, wow. I read agric engineering. That's why I'm an engineer. And I have a lot of friends in the agri space. I can challenge anybody. An ordinary corn, not sweet corn or anything. I can challenge anybody that this cannot happen.
It's not feasible.
It's not feasible. It's not, they should come and show me their books and details and the farm that they are producing this kind of return.
Okay, let's take today. Today, good morning. Good morning, today. Hello, today.
Wow,
okay,
I think we lost it. And there exists also a real estate. Now, the challenge people don't realize is that for me to promise to pay you, sir, 50% or 45%, okay, what it means is that I'll be making like about times 3 of that. Ordinarily, to being in business, because I will cover my costs. Is that not so? I will have to cover my cost of business, and I will have to also return profit to my own investors before I now give you 50%. So, worst case scenario, if I am saying that I want to, my own return to my investors will be gross of 30%, probably my cost will be like about 30%. So, 60 plus 50 will be 110%. So it means that in 6 months, they would have to make like 110%. Or let's say we have that 15, that's 30 plus this. They will have to make 80%, between 80 to 110%, to be able to sustain giving you 50%.
Which is not pragmatic.
Which is hardly. Of course, these things can happen occasionally. But not on a consistent, sustainable basis that they are taking the funds. Because they are always taking the funds.
Let's take Kayode, sir.
Kayode from Oyo.
Good morning, Kayode. Good morning, Kayode.
I hope we don't have a challenge with
Kayode network.
I think, with the network. So that is it. You want to, so if something is too good to be true,
fear it. It's a signal.
Be careful. It may likely not be true. So don't think that there is one whiz kid somewhere that knows something that a lot of people don't know. Because this is how these people play on people's intelligence. They package themselves, present themselves like some superstar that has access to some knowledge or some know-how that people don't know. Madoff in the US, he kept telling people that he has proprietary strategy that he uses to invest, and that's how he's able to make the kind of returns he was making to his investors for years, until people realized that it was a dummy. It was a Ponzi scheme he was running. I mean, the man is like the biggest Ponzi schemer in history. You understand?
Proprietary.
He said he had proprietary strategy that he was using to invest in the capital market.
Promising 80%.
No, he was in the US context. I think he was promising like 12% per annum on a consistent basis, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And that
maybe business do well, you know, do well. 12%.
He was giving people that. And that was high for their standard. But he kept saying he had... The people that are knowledgeable were suspecting it. But, you know, he branded himself, positioned himself. He was high.
And like you did taught us 2 weeks ago. He will quickly use this one to cover up for this one. Of course,
he was robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
He was robbing Peter to pay Paul. So this is actually what eventually happens when people go into things like this. Then when that starts to happen, definitely they always fail. Because money always stops coming at some point for one reason or the other. There may be different reasons why it stops coming. It may be what caused this one to stop, may not be the one that will cause this one to stop, but you are sure
that one day
they will exhaust their chain, because this is the theory it works with. You know, once it becomes Ponzi, you know, the theory is that people will be bringing money. Sure. Everybody will be bringing money. Sure. And by that theory alone, even if we go by that theory, in no time, let's say in the 15th chain, as it were, or you might have probably touched almost everybody in the world that has money. So once you touch everybody that has money, who else will bring money?
You are going to meet your Waterloo.
So there is no money coming, no fresh money coming in anymore.
Failure is setting up.
And then yes, so usually some people start it off even to make money and just zap.
Jackpot. Yes.
You know, so we also use this opportunity to call on our regulatory bodies to be more, vigilant. On top of their, and not allow some of these things to just till people have put in too much money into them, you know, before they wake up to their responsibilities.
Okay, can we go to number 3, sir?
So no. So we are still on number 2. So security. So you want to be sure that the investment, what I'm being promised, is not outrageous. You have to. Yes, you are looking for returns. Yes, you should look for returns. But you should look for returns, not magic. When you start to go after things like these, you are looking for magic. Yeah. And very soon, magic can swallow your money.
Because magic and miracle are not the same.
They're not the same. So, security, what's the certainty of income that I will get my money back? So, look at the fundamentals. What do they put this money into? Am I secure? In real estate, the beauty of real estate, this is the beauty of real estate, that if properly invested in, you are almost secure to an extent. So, if they truly are putting your money in property, let's assume that there is even a challenge.
Which is normal.
You understand? Now, and they can't pay you back. They should have property to give to you. You understand what I'm saying? What that means is that they should have property that money is tied to. And it's only a matter of time. Maybe there is a law in the economy, there is a difficult situation. The property will, the situation will pass. You understand? And the property will still stand the test of time to be able to release money much later. It won't be that your money will enter voicemail totally. That is the beauty of real estate. It's an asset class that helps, that almost gives you certainty of return if properly invested in.
Yes, thank you very much, Engineer Debo. We stop for number 2 this week. Most definitely. Nadia will go pick up next week. And to our esteemed viewers, you can always go on top of YouTube channel to go watch any episode where you missed. From every one of us here, we say bye-bye.